'cause I think I'm falling in love. I think I'm falling in love.
What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Today, unrelated, but it is the first day in Iowa that we have had over 40-degree weather since I don't even know when, and I'm just living for it right now. There's not one cloud in the sky. It's 50 degrees and I am so excited for spring. As you can probably tell, I chopped all my hair off, and I always do that around the springtime. I just feel like it's a fresh, start to the spring, and it's very summery and bright. So anyways, that's not what today's video is about though. Today's video I'm so excited for because a couple of videos back, I was talking about feeling in a little bit of a funk and not really sure what I wanted to talk about on YouTube or make videos of. And today's video actually came and was inspired by a lot of my clients, because I thought to myself, what is something that I think people do consistently when it comes to fat loss or weight loss in general that actually is the adverse of what they're looking to do. So I kind of talked about this on Instagram yesterday. I was talking about negative reinforcement, and anyways, I was talking about removing things, negative reinforcement, to increase a positive behavior in the animal behavior world, but it kind of can be applicable to humans and fat loss and body composition change. So I went through my busiest check-in day on Monday, and I compiled a list of things that a lot of people either were confused about, wanted clarification, just some things that I found were very common throughout my clients in general. So I compiled my list, and I'm very excited to share it with you. So today's video is going to be about the 10 things you should stop doing when you are trying to lose body fat. I know a lot of people, when we talk about changing body composition or losing body fat, we're always talking about adding things in. So we're talking about adding in cardio, adding in supplements, adding in all these things, and some of them are not 100% necessary if you don't stop doing these things first. So the first thing on my list that I see people do incorrectly all the time why does this have to be tug of war time as we're talking about this? So the first thing that I always see people doing incorrectly when going into a deficit is going too quickly into a deficit without either reversing or taking enough time from being at maintenance or maybe in a surplus. And basically what this just means is they have been either eating at maintenance or eating in a surplus. Let's say they were trying to gain muscle, and instead of slowly reversing calories back down to maintenance and then back slowly into a deficit, they go from a very large surplus to a very large deficit way too quickly. And this is a huge mistake that I see people make all the time, even coaches with their own clients. The issue with this though is that you're not going to be able to give your body time to adjust to the calories, and then you're not going to have enough room to work with those numbers afterwards. So if you start going from a 500 calorie surplus to a 500 calorie deficit, you don't have much wiggle room once you've reached that large 500 calorie deficit. So after you get there, you don't really have enough calories to play with, essentially, to go ahead and continue losing body fat. And the issue with losing too much body fat in a short period of time is it just increases the likelihood of you putting all that weight back on once you're done with your cut. And you see this with things like 30-day challenges or 7-day fast juice cleanses and shit like that. People will always lose a large amount of weight, most of it being water weight, but then they'll put it right back on immediately as soon as they're done with the challenge or with that large short period deficit. Next up on the list is expecting to lose a specific and exact amount of body fat or weight per week. In general, especially when you're doing caloric deficits in a slow and appropriate manner, I typically say that about half a pound to a pound per week of fat loss is decent. Like, that is a good average for people to aim for. I say that lightly because a lot of times people will expect too much, and there's other life factors that will play into this, and it will kind of make them disappointed. So stop expecting to lose that exact amount every single week. If you've ever seen a body fat loss percentage chart or progression chart rather, you will notice that the spikes in their graph are always going to be up and down, even if the overall trend is losing weight and going downwards. So you might not lose a half a pound one week. It doesn't mean that you're not losing body fat anymore. unless you've like been dieting for a bajillion weeks and you really need to stop dieting. But if you haven't lost that set amount of what you think you should have lost, don't think that automatically after 1 week you just need to double your deficit or add more cardio. Just be patient and look at the overall trends. This is something that I do with my clients all the time. I always prefer to have people look at trends of things instead of one weight here, one weight there, and then being disappointed that it's not as much fat loss as they were expecting. Number 3 on my list is so heckin' important. Like, this should have been number 1, but either way, this is so important. Not sleeping enough. Stop compromising your sleep for workouts, for whatever. It is going to play such a role in your body composition because people think that they have to wake up at 4 in the morning to get their cardio in because it's perhaps the only time that they can get their cardio in. But if they're running themselves ragged, waking up at 4 in the morning and not sleeping enough, not getting quality sleep, you're really burning the candle at both ends of the stick. I think that's that metaphor. I personally like to implement a very solid and structured nighttime routine. I feel like it is the best part of my day. It helps me get a very solid night's sleep, and quality night's sleep is most important. Just some quick things that you could do right off the bat. Quit scrolling on your phone right before you fall asleep. Take a hot shower before you go to bed. Try to read or do something that's not light in your face. I personally take R&R. It's a supplement from Driven. It's called Rest and Recovery. I'm sure you guys have seen me talk about that in my full day of eating videos, but that has changed my quality of sleep tenfold. Like, I used to wake up multiple times throughout the night, and now I only wake up once to go to the bathroom, and I can just feel when I wake up in the morning. It's not like a groggy, like you were knocked out feeling. It's like I got a restful night's sleep. So I just have my little routine that I try to do every single night, and it really does make a difference. And in terms of body composition, energy-wise, cortisol levels, there's so many things. Sleep is so important. Number 4 is also something I see all the time, and I think this is tough because as a whole in the diet culture, we have been conditioned to focus on the number on the scale. This is something that I feel, especially women, have struggled with forever. Not being flexible with what your goals are in terms of numbers and being too stuck or fixated on the number on the scale or measurements or things like that, because that's not always the gold standard of measuring your body fat loss or body composition changes. I think sometimes, and I have personally heard this, I can't even tell you how many times, someone will say to me, well, if I could just get to 135 on the scale, I would be happy or I would feel confident or whatever. And a lot of times I think people mistake the number on the scale for an aesthetic look that they're going for. And so I like to, this is just from a coaching perspective, I like to ask people, okay, imagine if tomorrow you looked the exact same and you stepped on the scale and it said that number, would you be satisfied? 9 times out of 10 they say no, and that lets me know that that goal that they're obsessing over is not necessarily anything to do with the scale or the number itself. It's more so an aesthetic goal, or they want to be leaner. And sometimes that doesn't always mean that the scale is going to go down, and that's something that you really have to understand if you are looking for like a total body recomposition change. I like to use myself as an example all the time. I have gained approximately 30 pounds since my journey started, and my body composition is so different. Like, I'm way leaner than I was before. I have much more muscle mass. And if I were to have gone into this journey thinking that I wanted to lose 10 pounds, I would have failed, but that's not really what I was going after. So I hope that makes sense. But most importantly, stop obsessing or fixating your goals on just one set of numbers or just numbers in general. Number 5 is kind of piggybacking off of number 4. And I think people make this mistake with stressing in general. Obviously, we want to keep stress to a minimum, but I know with life factors, that's not always realistic. However, when it comes to stressing about the scale, stressing about your food, stressing about your workouts, all of that is a negative stressor. Exercising, while it is, you know, for most people a very therapeutic thing and they enjoy working out and it's a stress reliever, it is still also a physical stressor on your body, along with dieting, along with all that stuff. So when you are putting physical stress on your body and physical stress on your mind, your body's going to be more resistant to the changes that you're looking for. So in general, number 5 is to quit stressing about the process. And I know that's a lot easier said than done. I've been guilty of it as well. But I will tell you, and this is just from my own personal experience, the less stress that I have been about my body composition, my foods, etc., the better that I have looked and the better that I've felt. Number 6 is something I feel like a lot of 9-to-5ers will understand, and this is overdoing caffeine and not drinking enough water. So quit drinking your Red Bull, sugar-free, whatever, your Monsters, this and that to get that energy boost, and instead kind of refer back to the sleep thing and think about where we could improve your natural sleep and your natural energy so you don't have to rely on those caffeine, sugar, chemical-y drinks. They're just not my favorite. You know, I'm not really an all or nothing person, but especially when it comes to my clients, I always like to see them focus on whole, nutrient-dense foods, focus on their water intake, their sleep, and those kinds of things will just work synonymously to help you feel better and also just like not want to drink those Red Bulls. I love my coffee in the morning, don't get me wrong, but I don't need to survive with a coffee every couple hours in my day, you know? Along with that, I feel like this goes without saying if you have been following me for a while, but the fat burners and stuff, stop taking them. Just stop. You don't need them. They're not real. They don't work. They're mostly diuretics, and people think that they're losing weight on them, but they're just peeing and pooping them out. So just don't. Number 6 on my list is eating Franken foods. That's what I like to call them. And focusing the majority of your diet around fat-free, low carb, low this. I don't know how to explain these foods, but there is a certain like Instagram account that I see people always reposting, and it's all like low calorie, low carb, low this, low fat. And it's a lot of fat-free and sugar-free and all kinds of stuff. And again, everything in moderation. I'm not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but I will say that I have seen for myself and my clients focusing on eating whole nutrient dense foods is always just going to be so much better for you, for your body, your mind, your energy. So really try not to overdo the Franken foods, the chemicals, the sugar-free, the fat-free, mystery things. Just eat good foods. I think I accidentally messed up that last number. I think that was 7 because this one's 8 and I thought I was one behind and I'm not. Number 8 is, this is actually something that happens quite frequently with clients, and it's actually on accident that this happens. So in MyFitnessPal, when you have your calories, like your total calories, and then it subtracts what you eat, there's also a plus button for exercise calories. If you have this function turned off, it will sync whatever exercise calories, whether that's from your health app, from your Fitbit or your Apple Watch, whatever, and add calories back into your MyFitnessPal diary in order for you to eat back your exercise calories burned. In this scenario, if you're trying to lose body fat, you don't necessarily want to do this because your macros should automatically be calculated for the workout calories that you are burning. So for example, if I am, just say to keep it simple, if I'm burning 2,000 calories a day and I'm eating 1,600 in a deficit, that is including my workout calories. So if I put that into MyFitnessPal and then it added back in 400 calories of exercise and wanted me to eat 2,000, I would end up eating 2,000 calories thinking I'm in a deficit and then not losing any weight because I'm actually eating at maintenance. I hope that makes sense, but just double check your MyFitnessPal settings and make sure that the exercise added back in calories are turned off. Speaking of exercise, number 9 is overdoing cardio or overdoing training in general. I think this is also something that will take practice and getting to know and understand your body fully to know what is too much volume for you versus what is just enough. And sometimes this can vary from week to week depending on your sleep, your eating, your stress levels, your work schedule, so on and so forth. It's important to take a look at your schedule as a whole for the week and kind of figure out, okay, do I have time to do 3 cardio sessions, or is that going to cut into my sleep? Is that going to stress me out and allow me to not meal prep? Things like that. I think sometimes people end up doing way too much cardio and it's so not necessary when it comes to losing body fat like that. And their body just kind of becomes resistant to it because the volume is consistently so high that they just don't know how to change the volume. And that's really hard, especially with the more advanced athletes who have, let's say, trained for regionals or just have very intense training sessions in general. It becomes increasingly harder to tweak that volume in order to increase the overall energy expenditure. So just make sure that you're not overdoing it, especially if you are trying to lose body fat just for general health and your aesthetics and things like that. You do not need to be doing 2 hours of cardio per day. And number 10 on our list is the most important one, and the one that is the hardest in my opinion, and it is to stop comparing yourself to other people's bodies, training, food, macros, progress, whatever. This is so hard, especially in the world of social media that we live in. But a lot of times people think that if they're not losing a certain amount, or if they don't look like so-and-so, that they're failing, or they just kind of get down on themselves. And I think this is something, again, that takes practice, but not comparing yourself to others when it comes to your own progress is so important. Thinking about just yourself, your goals, we're all so different. We have such different body compositions, genetic makeups, schedules, energy expenditures. We're just all so different that you really can't compare yourself to somebody else, and you should never be copying someone else's macros or meal plan because you think it will make you look like them. That's never the case, and everything that you do should be personalized to you and your goals, your body, and everything like that. With number 10, I just want you guys to know it's okay to have shitty weeks, not make any progress, go off the rails, or whatever you want to call it, but just focus on yourself. I personally like to take progress pictures. I love to look back at my journey. I think I just have to continue to remind myself to look at my own progress and my own things instead of comparing to somebody else's. That is number 10, but that is near and dear to my heart, and I hope that you guys can practice that this week going into this new week on a Monday. That is all that I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed my 10 things to stop doing when you're trying to lose body fat. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to click subscribe so you never miss a Monday with Manders. Right, Wisa? Wait, come here. Oh, baby too. All right, I'll see you guys on my next one.